In 2015, tech billionaires pursued anti-aging and cheating death like never before. 2015, the year we decided to live forever. Silicon Valley came up with a lot of things this year, like creating an on-demand pot to front door service. Well, they've had that forever. Are you kidding me? You think Silicon Valley invented pot delivery services? Psh, they've had that forever. And devising a sparkly way of destroying enemies by shipping them glitter. But one thing it's still working on is figuring out how humans can live forever. Research into surpassing life expectancy norms has become the pet project of tech billionaires, with entrepreneurs from Mark Zuckerberg to Sergey Brin writing out million-dollar checks to fund their quest. The list of entrepreneurs jumping on the death-defying bandwagon has grown rapidly over the past few years, creating a veritable who's who of generous donors. Notorious within the ranks are Peter Thiel, PayPal's co-founder and developer of Breakout Labs, a funding body for radical research into early-stage science geared toward tackling degenerative diseases. Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, who has donated some $430 million to anti-aging pursuits, and Paul Glenn, a venture capitalist who doles out grants to lab researchers at the likes of Harvard and MIT to investigate the mechanisms of biological aging. The pursuit of stopping the clock on corporeal degeneration has become increasingly aggressive in those intervening years, with 2015 proving to be the most dogged yet. The 2045 initiative, Dmitry Itzkov's life extension organization seeking to transfer personalities onto non-biological items and ultimately immortality, projected that this year could be the first in which such a system was created. The brain-computer interface has been slated for a launch anytime between now and 2020, dispelling naysayers' qualms that such technologies only have a chance of existing in the very distant future. And there's certainly no shortage of money to keep powering this research. Google co-founder Larry Page has diverted $750 million of the company's funds to Calico, its life extension center. Pierre Almidar, half of the brains behind eBay, has given millions to investing in disease recovery. Entrepreneur Peter Diamandis and Craig Venner set up Human Longevity Incorporated in a bid to find means of elongating the human lifespan. And of course, you know, these guys are the front men who are doing this with their money, and meanwhile, the big power players are just as much interested in this as they are. But if you want to know a lot about this, I mean, it absolutely is true, and it's something they've been working on for a lot amount of times. And former national security advisor, one of the top, most powerful people in the world, and somebody who's been claimed to be not human, Zbigniew Brzezinski. He wrote a book in 1969 called Between Two Ages, The Rise of the Technotronic Era. And boy, that's an eye-opening book. I mean, he describes there being a presidential candidate in the future that would help them achieve their goals, and it pretty much sounds word for word like he's describing Barack Obama. He talks about how in the future people won't work jobs and try to climb the corporate ladder in order to attain, possessions and status and things. They'll do those things in order to be able to afford life extension technologies, and that will create what he termed technological feudalism, which is exactly what these big billionaires are doing here. If you've got the money and you've got plenty of money, you'll be able to afford the life extension stuff. And if you don't, you'll have the short lifespan like everybody else. And that's pretty much already here, but that book really explains it in detail. I remember telling, because I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just somebody who reads a shitload of articles and a shitload of research papers. And I stay on top of these people. And I remember back around 2009, maybe, I was saying that, look, this singularity stuff, merging machines, it's going to be here by 2015. That's when you're really going to see it break out. And I didn't have a crystal ball, and that's what a lot of these guys were saying, these singularity guys. And I remember there was one particular host, I'm not going to name his name because he's irrelevant at this point anyway. But there was one particular radio host I used to do shows with and stuff on a network. And I remember him, arguing with, oh, no, it's not going to be here by then. And I think you're reading, or they're saying 2035. I'm saying, no. 2015 is going to be the year in when you're going to start to see this stuff break out. And lo and behold, article out today just confirmed exactly what I'd known for years. And this is from Bloomberg Business. Why 2015 was a breakthrough year in artificial intelligence. Computers are starting to open their eyes. And I only really derived that from seeing how quickly the technology was exponentiating at that time. It's insane. I mean, when I made my first film, 9/11 New World Rising in 2007, HD was not even available yet. There was the computers weren't even fast enough to even handle HD video yet. The video cards weren't there for that. The software wasn't there for that yet. And, just in the 8 years since I made my first film, now, we got 4K video and 8K video, and it's exponentiated at a speed quicker than the top technology experts have predicted. And that's the crystal ball. That's how this stuff is happening sooner than later. After a half decade of quiet breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, 2015 has been a landmark year. Computers are smarter and learning faster than ever. The pace of advancement in AI is actually speeding up, said Jeff Dean, a senior fellow at Google. To celebrate their achievements and plot the year ahead, Dean and many of the other top minds in AI are convening in Montreal this week at the Neural Information Processing Systems Conference. It started in 1987, has become a must-attend event for many Silicon Valley companies in the last few years, thanks to the explosion in AI. NIPS was where Facebook Chief Executive Officer Mark Zuckerberg chose in 2013 to announce the company's plans to form an AI laboratory, and where a startup named DeepMind showed off an AI that could learn to play computer games before it was acquired by Google. There should be plenty to discuss this week. The unprecedented advancements in AI research this year can be attributed to a confluence of nerdy factors. For one, cloud computing infrastructure is vastly more powerful and affordable, with the ability to process complex information. There are also more plentiful data sets for free or inexpensive software development tools for researchers to work with. Thanks to this, a crucial class of learning technology known as neural networks have gone from being prohibitively expensive to relatively cheap. And again, that's because a lot of this technology has been around for a long time. It's just now starting to make its way to the general public. It's starting to make its way into the hands of developers. So that's why it's exponentiating a lot quicker. Not because this technology is just now coming out, but because it's now becoming available to the public at, again, prices and costs that aren't prohibitive. Another thing I've been telling you about for many, many years that's coming very soon and is more of a reality and not science fiction anymore, and that is mining for minerals in space. About 10 years or so ago, there was a international treaty that was signed that declared that anything brought back to space, like any oil or any kind of resources, would not be able to be taxed by any government. That's what they want to do. They want to go to, some of these moons of Jupiter, and they want to start mining this stuff and bring it back to Earth. And, you would think, that's a good thing. If they can go back and go out into space and get tons of this stuff, it'll make it cheaper for us. No, it's just going to make their power supremacy that much stronger. Flashing some interplanetary gold bling and sipping space water might sound far-fetched, but both could soon be a reality thanks to a new U.S. law that legalizes cosmic mining. In a first, President Barack Obama signed legislation at the end of November that allows commercial extraction of minerals and other materials, including water, from asteroids and the moon. That could kick off an extraterrestrial gold rush backed by a private aeronautics industry that is quickly growing and cutting the price of commercial spaceflight. The U.S. Commercial Space Launch Competitiveness Act of 2015 says that any materials American individuals or companies find on an asteroid or the moon is theirs to keep and do with as they please. While the Space Act breaks with the concept that space should be shared by everyone on Earth for scientific research and exploration, it establishes the rights of investors to profit from their efforts, at least under U.S. law. Yeah, so whoever has the most money to be able to send stuff out there to mine this stuff will be able to do with whatever they want to do with it. I mean, it's a racket. These people want to own space just like they think they own the Earth, and nobody can own either. So this is going to be a huge game changer, and one that is likely to shift the geopolitical power structure around quite a bit, because countries like China having strangleholds on rare earth metals and the rest of it will definitely be challenged by this. All right. Well, that's all I got. I got to get back to work on this film. Again, folks, as I stated at the beginning of the show, we just need all your support right now. So please give us a hand ASAP and help us be able to get this work done. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Take care.
We talked quite a bit last night about transhumanism, turning our reality over to a digital grid, and essentially getting everyone to acquiesce to that in the name of, saving the planet from global warming and resource reduction, all the rest of that. And it's interesting that I had talked about how a lot of these transhumanists, like Ray Kurzweil, a lot of them are have put the singularity as occurring, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ahead in the future. But there have been some people who have speculated that with the way that technology has exponentiated over the past decade, I mean, it's unbelievable. The processing power of 5 years ago, the processing power we have today 5 years ago was still considered 20 years off. I mean, literally, processing power in 2005, what we have now in 2005 was considered 20 years off. So in 5 years, we already have processing power that 5 years ago was 20 years away. So what does that mean? Because a lot of people have speculated that the singularity could be here as soon as 2015. So it was interesting that I had mentioned that last night and talked about that last night on the show. And then today, synchronistically, here's this article. And I wonder if there's a connection here. I'll let you decide. IBM expects to see holographic phone calls and air-powered batteries by 2015. There's that number again. Very interesting. By 2015, your mobile phone will project a 3D image of anyone who calls you, and your laptop will be powered by kinetic energy. At least that's what International Business Machine Corporation sees in its crystal ball. The predictions are part of an annual tradition for the Armonk, New York-based company, which surveys its 3,000 researchers to find 5 ideas expected to take root in the next 5 years. IBM, the world's largest provider of computer services, looks to Silicon Valley for input, gleaning many ideas from its Alamon Research Center in San Jose, California. Holographic conversations projected from mobile phones lead this year's list. The predictions also include air-breathing batteries, computer programs that can tell when and where traffic jams will take place. See, most people that in this little list would kind of just mow over that. Think about that just by itself. Computer programs that can tell when and where traffic jams will take place. So they're able to predict. This is AI stuff. This is, Caesar level stuff we're talking about here, but even on a lower level, computer programs that can tell but when and where traffic jams are going to take place before they do. That's almost precog stuff. Environmental information generated by sensors in cars and phones and cities powered by the heat thrown off by computer servers. These are all stretch goals, and that's good, said Paul Saffo, managing director at Foresight and the Investment Advisory for Discern in San Francisco. It's an era when the pessimism is the new black. A little dose of technological optimism is not a bad thing. So again, this is, continuing on with this reliance and everything and all of the solutions for everything in our world being turned over to technology. And again, you just can't help but think this is a very, very dangerous road for mankind to be going down. It just really, at this point, I don't really discount anything out. But boy, we're getting in lots of email messages here tonight. So let me go. I'll continue to address these. What was the phrase from the different movies that you said last night? I talked about that last night. It was Gort, G-O-R-T, Klaatu, K-L-A-A-T-U, Barada, B-A-R-A-D-A, Nikto, N-I-K-T-O. I got into that last night. You can go back and listen to that. Go back and listen to last night's show if you want to know about what that means. I'm not going to get into it again. It's just some interesting things that I found and some different correlations between movies. It's on the wall in Alan's cubicle in the original Tron. It's the phrase that the lady says to the robot Gort in the original Day the Earth Stood Still to keep the alien from destroying Earth. Keanu Reeves says it in the 2008 remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still, and that's an interesting correlation because Tron was the first Matrix before there was a Matrix, and then you have Keanu Reeves who was in the Matrix saying that as well. It's also the name of the three aliens on Jabba's ship in Return of the Jedi. It's also the phrase that Ash says in Army of Darkness to destroy the Necronomicon. So I think it's some sort of Kabbalistic magical spell is what I think it is. But more research needs to be done. But again, you can listen to last night's show and hear me talk about that more and more. I'm not going to get into it again. Another question here from the email. Interesting that you brought up the year 2015 and Ray Kurzweil, because I was reading an interview with him last week, and one of the questions asked was how he sees the world in 2015. Huh. Wow. There it is again. I was just talking about last night that, because I had read, people were saying, the singularity is not going to come for 30, 40, 50, 80 years. And I started reading things where they were saying that the way the technology was progressing now could very well be here as soon as 2015. Because again, 5 years ago, we thought the processing power we have right now today was 20 years off. He says it ties it up with what you've been explaining. Anyway, here's the link to the question. Okay, life, and we'll just go and we'll read this. Ray Kurzweil is well known for making accurate future technology predictions. He has been successfully predicting the future by using extrapolations of the current state of technology since the beginning of the 90s. It's a long read, but well worth it. And it says, question number 11, how do you envision the world in 2015? This is a question to, of course, Ray Kurzweil, who coined the phrase, the singularity. What economic and technological predictions would you make for that year? Kurzweil says, by 2015, computers will be largely invisible and will be very small. We will be dealing with a mesh of computing and communications that will be embedded in the environment and in our clothing. That's the first step toward transhumanism right there, isn't it? People in 2005 face a dilemma because on the one hand, they want large, high-resolution displays. They can obtain these displays by buying expensive 72-inch flat-panel plasma monitors, but they also want portable devices which have limited display capabilities. By 2015, we will have images input directly onto our retinas. This allows for a very high-resolution display that encompasses the entire visual field of view, yet is physically tiny. These devices exist in 2005 and are used in high-performance applications, such as putting a soldier or a surgeon into a virtual reality environment. So in 2015, if we want large, high-resolution computer images, it will just appear virtually in the air. We will have augmented reality, including pop-up displays explaining what is happening in the real world. We will be able to go into full immersion, visual, auditory, virtual reality. We will have augmented reality, including pop-up displays explaining what is happening in the real world. We will be able to go into full immersion, visual, auditory, virtual reality environments. We will have usable language technologies. these are beginning to emerge, and by 2015, they will be quite effective. In this visual field of view, we will have virtual personalities with which you can interact. Computers will have virtual assistants with sufficient command of speech recognition that you can discuss subjects with them. Search engines won't wait to be asked. They will track your conversation and attempt to anticipate your needs to help with routine transactions. Well, hey, guess what, Ray? It's 2010, baby, and it's already here. We already got that. Google started doing that this year. You go to start typing, and before you can even type it in, it starts coming up with what possibilities of what you're looking for. Now, that's already here. So if that's 2005, he's saying that's going to be there in 2015. Again, as we've said, in 2005, the processing power that we have today in 2010 was 20 years off, folks. They've far surpassed, what's the whole, I forget the name of it, the whole theory of computing power. We've surpassed even that. These virtual assistants won't be at the human level. That won't happen until we have strong AI, but they will be useful, and many transactions will be mediated by these assistants. Computing will be very powerful and will be a mesh of computing. Individuals who need the power of 1 million computers for 25 milliseconds will be able to obtain that as needed. Cloud computing, that's already here too. Exactly what he's talking about right there. Individuals who need the power of 1 million computers for 25 milliseconds will be able to obtain that as needed. That's cloud computing. We already have that. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, what the things that he's talking about here are really the first steps toward transhumanism. This was 2005. Now in 2010, we already have many of these things here that are saying are coming in 2015. So what is it going to be like 5 years from now? It's going to be vastly different, folks. But Facebook and smartphones and all this stuff is already the first step towards acclimating this. And this is also why these total immersion games and World of Warcraft and all this other stuff, and also while they've been using these training simulators that simulate combat. And remember all those stories we talked about, how the recruiting offices set up those systems for that, and they got a lot of recruits in by basically putting them on the video game first that's realistic. This is what we're moving towards. I believe that we will be well on the way to overcoming major diseases such as cancer, heart disease, and diabetes through biotechnology revolution that we talked about above. We will make the progress in learning how to stop and even reverse the aging process. So thanks to Illuminated Scam for sending that over. Oh man, good stuff there. And it keeps on coming back and coming back and back and back and back and back to the to this. It continues it just continues to exponentiate. Again, just 5 years ago, the processing power that we believed that was coming was 20 years off. We already have. It's the processors that I guess it was the Nehalem processors that Intel came out with last year were supposed to be the next generation chips, the stuff where they would start integrating holographic tech into games and all this different stuff. And now the new processors, we talked about that on Monday, the processors now where they can remotely lock the processors down. Those are the next generation of Halems that are coming out now. It's going well beyond that. I know that I think the octo core systems are out. I know there's a 6-core system out now, even past the quad core. I got a quad core in 2008 and thought I was shitting in high cotton then. They've got 6-core, 8-core systems, I think. Now I think the octo cores are probably coming out pretty soon. Unbelievable.